Hi, so in this video, I just wanted to demonstrate an issue that we've been finding in new quizzes for essay questions, particularly an issue that the essay questions for new quizzes allow you to paste images into them, but when you save those responses as a student, you lose not only the pasted image, but everything that follows after it, and how this seems to be a problem inside new quizzes and not a problem with, say, a particular browser. So let me demonstrate. Here I've shown a bunch of quizzes for a course that I teach, and I've created a bunch of dummy quizzes. So this one that is the unfilled spaceship, this is an old classic quiz, and this filled one is a new quiz. If I go inside this new quiz, it's just taking a second, you can see that I have built an essay question, just a test essay question. Now, if I go to preview, this is the view that a student would see. Now inside this preview, a student can start answering the question. So this is my answer to the essay question. And I would like to include a figure. And so at this point, the way you're supposed to insert figures into your essay question inside new quizzes is to go up here to the upload media. This is one way to do it. There's a couple of other, but uploads media. And then I can bring in an image like this one that I've already prepared here. I can bring this and drag and drop this into here as so. So it says pasted image is now ready. That's just the title of the image. I can hit import, takes a second to upload. And then there we go. This image, which if I were to double click on this image, you can see what it looks like. It's just this image that I grabbed earlier from Zoom and created a ping from it, allows me to put it inside there. So then after I put that image, I can say something like, and here is text after my image. More text. So now if I hit submit and say I'd like to submit, I go through this auto grading period, and then I can view what that looks like. And as expected, here is the question prompt, and here is the response. You can see that the text that I entered in as the simulated student, as well as the image and the text after it, all shows up. So that's great. That's how it's supposed to work. Now, if I go to exit preview and then hit preview and again, then what I can do is imagine if I'm a student that is more familiar with just pasting images into these text fields. So for example, a student might have done a screen grab of something that they wanted to include in their image. So I'm going to just copy this thing here. So let's say I wanted to do a screen grab just to make this more lifelike. So I've just done a screen grab. So now this image is in my paste buffer. So if I were to go to preview and say new from clipboard, then you would see this is the image that I just captured. So if I were to go into an app like Slack, for example, and I were to type into a text field of Slack and say, here is an image from my clipboard, pasteboard, and paste that in there. There it is. And you can see that Slack allows me to just paste it right into the field and it gets saved there. So a student that has been brought up with these sort of tools then comes to new quizzes in the essay question, and they then, thinking that that should work, goes and says, okay, here is my answer, and I would like to include a figure from my clipboard, pasteboard. And so they then here I'll do Apple V that pastes it in. Alternatively, I could just right click and say paste, and then I get that image that comes in there. And then I can say, and here is some text after my images. And if you'd like, I can even put text between the two images. So I could go through here and say, here is some text between the images. And so I know it's hard to see all of that, so I'll make this a little bit larger. And so you can see that I've got my two images. Oh, I tried to put in text in between. Here is text between images. So you can see that this student, this simulated student, has gone through and has put images in here, all from the clipboard. It looks like they're fine, just like before. I hit submit, say, yes, I'm ready to submit, go through the auto grading process. And then when the preview comes back, then I see the prompt and look down here. I see that everything from the first pasted image on is discarded forever. It doesn't even show up in the logs. That is gone. So that student thought that they could use the user interface like they did over here in Slack, over here in Canvas, and Canvas appeared to allow them to do that in new quizzes, but it didn't work out. So I'll exit preview here. You might say, well, that's not a problem with Canvas. That must be a problem with the web browser. Anytime you get a text field like this, then maybe the web browser is just letting you paste images in, even though the web browser shouldn't. You might think that, but I can go back to quizzes. So maybe I'll see if I can go back a little bit here to back to these assignments here. So I'm going to go back to a classic quiz. So remember the classic quiz, these are down here, right here, that's unfilled. So I'm going to go to a classic quiz that has a single essay question. And I will hit preview for that classic quiz. And here's my answer that I would do as a student. So I'm going to say, this is my test answer, and I would like to include a figure. And there are ways to upload figures and insert media, just like in new quizzes, but that's not really what we're testing here. We're testing here the pasting. So if it were the case that this is just a problem with the browser, then I should be able to paste here and see the same problem with classic quizzes than I did with new quizzes. But if I go to here and hit Apple V, nothing shows up. If I right click on here and say paste, nothing shows up. If I go up here to edit and then say paste, nothing. Edit, paste and match style, nothing. So I cannot paste into this text box. I could include images using the tools above, but I cannot paste. I am prevented from pasting. So now if I were to submit this quiz, then that answer would go into the mix. So, and here's the answer right down here. So as you can see, classic quizzes properly prevents pasting into the text boxes, as you might expect. New quizzes allows pasting into the text boxes, but instead of then converting those pastes into an imported image like you would expect it to do, like Slack does, and pretty much any other user interface that you find embedded in web browsers, instead it just discards anything that's pasted in. This is clearly a bug in new quizzes, in the new quizzes LTI or their rich text editor, that needs to be fixed, because we do have students who are pasting like this because they think they can, and as far as they can tell during their quizzes, it's allowing them to do so, and then finding out afterwards that all the work that they've done, everything after the paste, is totally discarded. And that's a major problem.